Welcome to the sixth and final class of the 2004 treatment course. We'll be wrapping up some loose ends in this video, but before we begin today's lesson, let's begin with the spiritual mind treatment. I take a moment to quiet my mind. I let go of any distractions currently or any thoughts about plans in the future. I am right here, right now. I am one with the universal laws that govern my every action and all my decisions. There is no place in my life that God is not. I am one with that power now and always. I speak the word of God for the ease and effortlessness that I give this final class in this series. I am so excited to share more information with others, whether they are hearing this for the first time or if they themselves have heard or taught this information for themselves. I accept that this class is already done in the mind of God and is perfect. I give thanks that this is so, and I release this treatment into the universal consciousness for immediate manifestation. And so it is. I hope you've enjoyed the first 5 classes of our 2004 treatment course. You've been given examples of 5 steps of treatment, traditionally known as recognition, unification, realization, thanksgiving, and release. This is only one form of spiritual mind treatment. Besides a 5-step treatment, there is one, the original, which has only 3 steps. And there are 2 others, with the second or third element added to the 5 you've already learned, giving them the designation of a 6 or 7-step treatment. But before we go into that, I promised you a technique in the last class that will help you make more sense of your treatment, or specifically what you want to treat for. Recently, I read a message from Mike Dooley of Tut.com, writing as The Universe. What he says about dreams and end results works for spiritual mind treatment too. Here's what he wrote. When your dreams or end results are stated generally in broad brushstrokes like wealth and abundance, friends and laughter, health and harmony, then by all means attach yourself to them. Attach, attach, attach. There's no limit to what you can have and no reason to expect anything less. But when your end results are specific, like the ultimate car, a hot date with someone special that you have in mind, or a home on a certain street, do not attach, do not attach, do not attach. Details and specifics are only a tiny piece of a grander picture and are never important in and of themselves. They are the cursed hows, disguised as end results. Steps disguised as destinations. By all means, imagine the details. Put them in your scrapbook or on your vision board to fuel your excitement and remind yourself of the kind of possessions and adventures that are your birthright. But do not give them importance through attachment greater than what you are truly after. A fuller, richer life with all cups running over, the details of which will take care of themselves by the time your ship sails into view. Know the wows, not the hows. Prosperity Unity Minister Catherine Ponder was known for her work when creating and teaching and using vision boards. If you're not familiar with that term, it's a blank board. It could be a piece of construction paper or a display board like you'd find in an arts and crafts store. On it, people used to find pictures in magazines that represented their desires. Nowadays, to find exactly what we're thinking of, it's easy to find graphics on the internet or have something created through an AI app. But Ponder tells a story about her son in one of her books. He put a particular car on his vision board. He found the exact year, model, and color of his desire. Less than a year later, he was being driven in that car, but it wasn't his. He went back to the vision board and saw that a man wasn't driving it. A woman was driving the convertible with her hat and scarf flying in the wind. The car he found himself in was the right year, model, and color, but the driver was his girlfriend, and they were in her daddy's car. That's a great example of how being very specific can often demonstrate in completely different ways than what we originally intended. When I treat for myself, I often remember what Reverend Helen Street used to tell me. You know, Terry, God always has a better plan. We may completely believe we've thought through all the advantages and possible snags, but divine mind has already figured it all out. So when I'm convinced that I know what I'm doing, which, by the way, I often do not, I complete that third step of realization. But just before the Thanksgiving and release steps, I add the simple words, this or something better, knowing that in divine mind, the perfect manifestation is already accomplished. Finally, let's talk about the 3, 6, and 7-step treatments. The 3-step treatment is easy. You've already learned it. In the original textbook, the treatment Holmes used didn't have a 4th step of Thanksgiving or the 5th step of release. It was simply recognition, unification, and realization. That was it. When the textbook was revised in 1938 by practitioner Maud Allison Latham and Dr. Holmes, the story is that Latham went to bat for the treatment we use today, adding Thanksgiving and release. True? Well, that's the way I heard it. But if you're interested in learning more about the history of religious science, Science of Mind, and Ernest Holmes, it's easy to find those on the internet. Many of these books are not tertiary representations of what someone thinks Holmes did or said. Rather, they are primary documents of Holmes and his brother Fenwick in their own words or secondary writings by people who were there. The 6-step treatment adds a step right after the 3rd step of realization. And here's the reasoning on this. Suppose you finished your treatment, but just before you add your Thanksgiving step, you hesitate. You're not nearly as sure as you thought you were. Our 6th steppers add the step of denial. Again, we are not, as Holmes admonished us, denying the existence of the problem or situation. Rather, we deny any need for it to continue existing. Once we have convinced ourselves of the validity of our realization of the healing desired, we continue with Thanksgiving and release. You may have noticed, or you're more than welcome to go back to a previous class and find out, but you'll find out that I often start my treatments with a step of denial. I take whatever I'm feeling and consider whether this is God mind or Terry mind. And if it's my mind, then I deny that this has anything to do with God mind. For example, before I start the first step of treatment, I may say something like, God is all powerful. God doesn't know fear, or God is in charge of this situation no matter how it looks to my human mind. This is also effective when you're doing an opening treatment for a class, church service, or meeting where you want to make sure that everyone's on the same page. I've often suggested to people to picture their problems in beautiful baskets they can, in their mind's eye, take to the front of the building out of their consciousness. I mentioned if they want to take the problem home with them, it will be there for them when they leave. I might even suggest their problems will enjoy fussing with one another while the person is inside and enjoy the positive nature of the meeting. Occasionally, I may have suggested this might end up with their problems playing in the street and getting run over by a semi, but they won't be there when they leave that day. So don't do that a lot, but it does kind of lighten the mood because often it's our problems that we feed that actually keep them with us. Just a thought. The 7-step treatment is one that might work for you, particularly if it's a problem you've been dealing with for some time. There are 2 steps, not additional ones at the end, but between the traditional step 3 of recognition and the 4th step of Thanksgiving. The 7-step treatment puts 2 steps in there, which means they become the 4th and 5th steps, and that makes our usual Thanksgiving and release steps into steps 6 and 7. Are you with me? If not, just back up and try it again. The first step added is one that we just talked about, denial. But after denial, the new added step is called reaffirmation. It's a restatement of what we already treated about in the realization step, but probably less wordy, though you can be as verbose as you need to be to make your point to yourself. The 7-step treatment is one that I hardly ever use. I offer it to you at least to try on for size in case it appeals to you. The 7-step treatment is a nice addition to have to your spiritual mind treatment workbox just to have. If there's a time that you are moved to use it, you'll know how to do it. As for how to do it, well, Use the matrix I gave you in the first class, but make sure you're using it as a matrix and not as universal law, okay? When I say that any prayer given sincerely and with integrity works for the person giving the prayer, I mean it. I have not found any other method that works better for me, my family, and friends, and my clients than a 5-step spiritual mind treatment. But here's the truth about this course and about anything you hear from anything in life from friends, self-proclaimed guru, or on the internet. Make sure before you buy the car, you at least test drive it. Because if it just works for your neighbor, it doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Sure, there are plenty of people out there who found their way out of cancer to perfect health without Western medicine. And there are even more people who had chemo, radiation, multiple drugs, and are just as cancer-free today. Which method is better? Who the hell cares if the healing has occurred? When I was in ministerial training, I treated a young couple who came to me because of a tumor the doctor found in his wife's ovaries. They wanted treatment before they made a decision the next day, which was to offer cancer treatment through surgery or chemo. Doing so would have probably meant the end of any chance of their having their own children. So before the decision, the doctor ordered another test, and the test showed no tumor whatsoever. Was the first step wrong? Did the treatment eradicate the tumor? Did another doctor read the report incorrectly the first time? Were the test results mixed up? Again, who the hell cares? The couple tearfully thanked me over and over for the treatment, but I continued to acknowledge them for their faith in treatment and in divine mind that apparently had a different idea. When we treat, or pray, or light candles, or perform Reiki, we are not healers. As practitioners of science of mind treatment, we are revealers of the truth that we have accepted in our own mind, because there is within us the knower that knows. That power is one we use. We don't create it, and we certainly don't take credit as if we were the one doing the healing or the revealing. Wow, thanks for showing up and doing this course with me. For those of you who have committed to this course and followed through, I hope you feel your time was well spent. I've so enjoyed reviewing this for you. And by doing so, your attendance has helped me as I move into this next phase of my own work. Before we go, please comment below if you're watching on my YouTube channel or hit reply in the email you received for any questions, comments, concerns, or treatment requests that you might have. Plus, I'd love if you'd subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also find me on the professional social media accounts at Facebook and Instagram as Terry Drew Keranen, and now on medium.com, where I'm also blogging under the title Making Sense of Life. Enjoy checking out the playlist on the YouTube under webinars, where you might find some subjects of interest. And everything presented here on YouTube is there free for you to enjoy, to learn, and to use. As the Reverend Dr. Ernest Holmes once said, I never had an original thought, but boy, did he have a way of expressing those thoughts of others. I hope that I've done a decent job of expressing this teaching to you. Thank you. So once again, when I finish the closing treatment, the video will end. I encourage you to sit quietly for a few moments after that happens, just to experience your inner emotions. And again, thanks. There is one God, one life, one power, one presence. That is God. I am that which God is. I speak this word for myself and anyone listening to this treatment. I know that divine right action is taking place as I speak in the lives of all who hear this treatment. Our paths are clear before us. Our joys are unlimited. Our abundance is secure. Our health is perfect. Our relationships are whole, complete, and satisfying. I give thanks that this is so, and I release this treatment into universal consciousness for immediate demonstration. And so it is.